Good afternoon, Vistasp. How are you doing?
Hi Sibani, what a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to our office. It's a fantastic industrial, work from home kind of a feel. When you stepped on the staircase, you saw every great design begins with a story.
Right.
And that's the culminating line, that one life, design a story worth telling, which really means to a lot of young people that, make every project count and make every opportunity your story of life. Breathe life into every design, make a story out of it. So a whole lot of connotations are set within this.
What we do is work-based strategy, and management science today is still, very employer-centric, right? There's very little employee centricity that has happened over a period of time now. Thanks to COVID, a lot has shifted, right? But has it really shifted in the design process as well?
Well, I'll tell you for sure that, we've started speaking less about the we and more about the me post-COVID, which means we are more people-centric and more individual-centric. In fact, now we've begun to value every individual. And it's when I say we, it's not just us, it's our clients as well. And so we are beginning to, attach a value to every seat and every space and every opportunity to really bring some sort of a human-centric vibe. And human centricity is become a central subject of discussion in all projects, for sure. And I think there are some blessings. COVID was a good virus to happen actually in many ways, because it taught us a whole lot of aspects of, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a very interesting subject, by the way. And I've written about that in a book that I've just written called Positivity at the Workplace. And it's my theory that, Maslow, who came up with this triangle and said that physical comfort is the base need and self-actualization is the peak need. In my book, I've written that post-COVID, everything's turned around. Everybody now is looking at, self-actualization as a given, as a granted. And that answers your question. They're actually looking now for physical spaces that meet their needs and surpass their needs. So the entire triangle has come around.
Requirements are endless. So where do you kind of, draw the line?
For one, there has been a dramatic change in the sense that we are now getting our briefs more from the HR side of an organization and less from the corporate real estate side. Now there is a shift in thinking. It's not so much as how many people, but it's more like what's in it for them that's being discussed. The talks are now more on how do you come out of a hybrid way of working and try and bring people back to the workspace. And I think with these sort of talks that are happening, there is a very high level of focus on human centricity, on people centricity in design. And it only demonstrates that everything we are doing nowadays is meant for that end user. I mean, it's a very cliched saying, but the most costly asset that you have is not the real estate anymore, it's the people.
Okay, so you just mentioned about your book and it talks about positivity and you are a workplace designer. Okay, so have you found out some means of
Measuring.
measuring positivity which we don't know about yet?
So, well, in the beginning, I'm not a behavioral scientist, and I'm just your simple architect who studied a lot to understand human beings and create better spaces. I think this entire book that was written, which is a COVID baby, by the way, talks about, as I said, inverting the entire Maslow's theory of hierarchy of needs, and looks at things in a very different manner in a immediate post-COVID scenario. Today, I think there are two challenges for measuring productivity or positivity at the workplace. You have one type of workspace which is hybrid in nature, and you have another which is conventional in nature. Now, how do you measure productivity or positivity in both? It really differs. I would say in a hybrid workplace, the more versatility you have in the workspace, I think that's a measure of whether it works or no, because people are coming there for shorter periods and they should be having a more diverse set of experiences and possibilities of meeting each other. In a conventional workplace, I think it is more about trying to create a sense of buzz and a sense of vibrancy, and there should be, I think, a good measure in a conventional office that works regular hours is more the attendance. It's more about how people are coming to the office regularly. Is there a FOMO, a fear of missing out? Have you reached that level where you're able to actually get people to come to office because they don't want to miss out on the buzz, they don't want to miss out on what's happening, so I think that's a trick that really works. So there are two scales of measurement for two types of office, in my opinion.
Okay, so we have this section called Rapid Fire, which is the fun section. And I get
it.
some insights about the person you are, actually. That's the idea of this one. So here goes. Books or movies?
Well, books at night and movies over weekends.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's like saying sugar or spice. You need both.
You need both.
Yeah.
Right. What was your favorite subject in school? I think I can guess, but you can still tell me.
What's the guess?
No, I won't. Let me hear it from you.
Okay, my favorite subject was engineering drawing, which was thankfully in class 11 and 12, by the way.
What never fails to make you smile?
A good smile.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think I think having that sense of fun is very important, and keeping that a smile is very infectious. It can really turn a gloomy day into a sunny day. Yeah.
Totally agree with you on that one. What do you love most about your job? I'm sure there are lots of things, but still, what is that one thing?
Oh, what I love most about my job and what I hate most of my job should also be a question.
Please go ahead.
I think what I love is the fact that you get to do different things every second day, if not every second week. Different kind of project, different kind of challenge, different kind of people, different briefs, different sites, different locations. I think that's great. And what I don't like about our line is the sheer unpredictability. The fact that is your next payment coming on time? Okay. Are you? So I think the good and the bad goes together. Often people ask me, if you had a second life, would you be an architect again? I would say yes. Yeah.
Great.
Kabool hai.
Oof, too much. Yeah, so you've been saying projects are today employee centric, and at the end of the day, has the design brief also changed. Like, what you used to get, let's say pre-COVID or pre the time when people actually were thinking about the so much, and today.
Yeah, well, I'd say that this wall is a wonderful example of how times have changed. We would normally have got this wall printed in some wonderful press and pasted on the wall, but this was really participative. We had a whole lot of our fellow workers, I don't call them employees, coming together and putting this wall up. So I'd say, yeah, I think there's a greater sense of participation in decision making now. We have started to see that we have become part of these panchayats where you are having different mukhyas of different departments coming together and really giving their bit, and for us to put it all together. This never used to happen in the past, because in the past we were given a sheet, a dictate. Today we are able to speak to clients and we're able to actually understand A, how do they work, B, what are the kind of people who are working there, C, how much technology dependent are they, and we're then able to say, okay, what if you were to do this, or what if you were to do that, or we would tell them the world is moving in this direction, why are we not moving in that direction? So it's when we have intelligent questions, it's when we start having this discourse and this debate on a variety of possibilities, that's when you've really opened up the client's mind and got him engaged.
Now we have the Bristol question of the day. Yeah. So the question is, how can design help facilitate employee engagement, productivity, and a sense of purpose at the workplace?
So I think there's a lot to say about the physical workspace. You can actually design a workspace as we've designed our space. If you sort of look around out here,
yeah.
If there is greater sense of openness, greater sense of connectivity, greater sense of versatile space usage.
Yeah.
That means you are able to actually use a space in multiple ways without allocating it to one particular function.
Sure.
I think that's when a space really gets utilized. There's more and more talk today of multi-purpose usage of space, and I think that's a very important aspect, because space is at a premium.
Yeah.
And you really want your teammates to work also at a level of productivity which is much higher. So if space has that kind of that variety and that flavor of versatility to it, that's when it really makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is a sense of vibrancy.
Yep.
Physical workspace needs to maximize on height, maximize on volume, try and create a kind of environment which has a personality. Often we're, as designers, talking about what's the kind of personality that we can create to a space, and personality really depends on A, who's the end user, who's the end client, what are his corporate guidelines, what's the kind of business he's in, what's the age group of the end user, and accordingly you evolve and design a personality.
Yeah,
and I think vibrancy and versatility are the two things that really make a difference.
Yeah.
They tend to make your entire workplace more alive. And when a place is more alive, the occupants within it are also so much more alive. And when they're alive, they're happy. When they're happy, they're productive. When they're productive, you've got an engaging workspace.
Absolutely.
So as a designer, you really create these lovely spaces for employees, and with a lot of discussion with the management
and a lot of passion.
A lot of passion.
Yeah.
Thinking to the last detail, be it the texture, the colors, the space itself, and the requirement itself. Now, see, when we buy a phone, we get a manual that comes along with it. This is how we have to use it. These are the do's, don'ts, whatever else.
Correction. You get a QR code nowadays.
All of that. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But in an office space which has so much of things and so many users, we don't have a manual which we hand over, except which is more like a protocol.
Yeah.
Right. Have you experienced that things are not used the way you actually intended it to?
Yeah.
And does that happen many a times? And
I get your question.
do you then go back to the drawing board to see if something can be corrected, or you just kind of live with it? Yeah.
Let's be honest. Once the project is over, we are only going back to say hi and hello, but not do any remedial actions unless we are asked to.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly that happens when a management changes or when a pandemic happens, and that's when they call you back and they ask you to do modifications, etc. But in the real life of things, once the project is handed over and it's done, we seldom get a chance to go back. Mm-hmm. We feel very strongly that once the management is continuous, then the spatial usage and the intent of designing the space gets it gets translated as per the design vision we had. Mm-hmm. It's only when there's a change of management, or when there is a takeover, or when there is new people who've come in who look at things differently, who don't know the background story. I think that's when the entire narrative changes, and that's when you really there are some missing links that come in, and then people start misusing the space, if I can say, and don't use it with the right intent. You suddenly find areas that were meant for collaboration and interaction becoming areas where cartons got pushed
it's
in,
been abused,
or
right?
you get a cafeteria which is not being used, and you have plastic bottles lying around. So I think continuity in the leadership in a workspace is more important than the architect continuing. Mm-hmm. Anybody else can come in and inherit what has been done and take things forward. Right. But I think the leadership must continue. The vision should continue. That's the bigger picture.
Right.
So I'd love to present you this book, Positivity
so
at the
much.
Workplace. And you should be able to finish this in your flight back to Mumbai.
That's a tough one. I do read a lot, but I want this signed by you.
I'll do that.